Hello, welcome to People in Perspective. I'm Ben Pollock, and my guest for this edition is Doug Pollock, a city planner for the village of Burr Ridge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, I want to start off this interview by asking you a question. How did you begin in architecture, city planning?
Well, I was interested in political science as in high school and world history and American history in high school. And so when I went to college, I majored in urban affairs, which is a subset of political science. After graduating from the University of Evansville with a degree in urban affairs and having studied cities for 4 years in college, I applied for graduate school to become a city planner because that was an aspect of cities that interested me. Other people with my background might decide to get a graduate degree in public administration. I decided I wanted to pursue city planning because I enjoyed the design aspect of it and working with architects and engineers and people like that on the actual physical development of cities.
So, once you got into city planning and you got your degree, where did you go to find your first job?
Well, I happened to be living in Indianapolis, city of Indianapolis at the time, and I was applying for city planning jobs all over the country, but was able to find a job with the city of Indianapolis as a planner and started my career there.
Could you show us an example of a plan that you would draw?
Sure. There's a lot of different types of plans. First, let me kind of give you some background on what different types of plans that we use. We start with a master plan for a community, and that will take the form of, it looks like a map basically, and it'll show the entire community as it exists now and how the community wants their city or their village to look in the future. And that will look like just a regular map, but instead of showing what's existing in the town, it'll show what you want the town to look like in the future, 10, 20 years in the future. We also use a lot of zoning maps which regulate how land is used, and that's a different level of a plan or a map. And then you get into plans specifically for properties and buildings. And so we use a site plan to plan a specific property, where a building would be. And I could show you an example of a site plan for a residential property. This would be for a single-family residence where the street is at the bottom of the plan, and it shows the location of the house with the setbacks from each side property line, setback from the front property line, a detached garage, and also lays out where a patio would be located, where different landscaping materials and sidewalks would be located. And we use that to plan out a site, a particular piece of property, so that then when the contractor goes to build the house, goes to actually construct all the improvements, they know in advance that everything is going to fit properly on the property and that everything they want now and in the future is accommodated. The next level, going down one more level, would be a floor plan, and that's really what architects do, not necessarily city planners. City planners work from this level up, from the level of the site to the entire community. The architect would work specifically on the house itself, not necessarily on the grounds around it, developing floor plans and elevations for the house. The engineer is going to work on the ground where the different slopes and how the ground is contoured and how utilities are connected to the house.
So would you draw that like freehand, or do you use a computer technologies?
Well, in my position working for a village government, the private property owners would hire their own architect, their own engineer, their own land planner to develop the plan, and they would normally do that in this day and age. They would do that on AutoCAD, a computer-aided design tool that they would use to develop the plans. And I review the plans using a scale and pencil and consulting the village regulations for how properties can be developed, and then I would just comment back in writing to the property owner or the architect on how the plan needs to be modified to fit village codes.
So what are you doing now? Where are you working?
Right now I work for the village of Burr Ridge, and I have for the last 16 years worked for the village of Burr Ridge. And what I do for the village, my title is Community Development Director. And the Community Development Department, it's common in most villages in the Chicago suburbs, have a Community Development Department with a director. And what those departments do for the village is we enforce the regulations for building codes, zoning codes, and we also help the village board and the residents of the community develop master plans for their community. So they will, every 10 to 20 years, ideally every 10 years, a community will look to the future and decide how they want their community to look like in 10 years or down the road. And I assist the residents and the village board and the plan commission to develop those master plans.
So what are you thinking about doing in the future with your career?
Well, I enjoy very much working in village government, and I intend to stay in village government for the rest of my career. It's very rewarding because you get to work with the community, and you get to work with people to develop and help them realize their vision. If a community, I'll use it as an example, the village of Burr Ridge where I work, the community, when we did a master plan in 1999, one of the issues that the community identified is they felt that there was a lack of community identity. They didn't have a downtown. They didn't have a gathering place where the community came together. Then later, after that, we identified that as an issue. We identified different ways to try to accomplish that. But then we had the opportunity in 2004 to actually build a downtown from scratch. And we knew, because we'd done this master plan in 1999, in 2004 when developers came to us and said, we want to build this retail and commercial development, we knew the community wanted a downtown because we'd done that work before. And so we were able to work with the developer to build a downtown out of nothing and create a sense of community in Burr Ridge because they didn't have a downtown before. Unlike Riverside or Brookfield, where you do have business districts, Burr Ridge did not have that. And that was very satisfying because we were able to accomplish a goal that we knew the community wanted. And that's why I see myself staying in village government and continuing to do that type of work.
Well, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
On People in Perspective. I'm Ben Pollock. Thanks for watching.